I think the one right next to it might also
The
be.
real little one there, I know.
Yeah,
for
there's another little
sure
one
is-
that's similar aesthetic, that's there. I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, those are non-contributing.
They're not contributing.
But once again, we are bound by these regulations. But there is, like you said, there's siding on the side, so it's kind of like, how far do you go with it? And that's the balance that you all are here for in evaluating.
Yeah, because if we were trying to do vertical vinyl on one of the buildings that was contributing, it would be like, no.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Absolutely no.
What about like a shape siding or scalloped?
I don't know, but what you see mostly on the street is more detailing around the doors and so on. And in between then, there's more like panel approach.
Yeah.
And, an architect could take it and probably come up with a nice look that would really enhance the outside of the building, but it will cost you more money.
Right.
That's absolutely true. There's no way around that.
Right, yeah. And I mean, the reason the start of us doing this in the first place is because there was, like a car came into the building, went to damage the wood that's there now. So just, yeah, going back to like, as far as putting the money into it, it's just, as a small business, kind of not an option.
Yeah, I think the design guidelines have a fairly strong case of the vinyl would not be something that
Okay.
intended.
So we go in with the wood. Can that be approved?
And I think the LP Smart Site is something that
Yeah.
is considered sort of a composite material, but like in painting, it ends up with the same effect as a solid dimensional wood material. I mean, you still do have some level of maintenance, but you can get them with 10 and even 20-year warranties depending on.
Up to 50.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to wait for it to come from from the factory to be a special order. But I mean, I think the LP Smart Side is a great product in terms of looking like real wood, but still having a lot of favorable wear and tear and weathering characteristics. In terms of the images that are there, is that representative of wood trim around
Very similar, yeah.
picture frame the windows and have
Because we were planning to trim it all out, but the original picture with the vinyl siding over there, comparison over there, it doesn't really show any trim at all over there, so that's why maybe probably where that was coming from. We need some, make it pop more. But that was all planned out, that would be all nicely trimmed out, maybe nothing like, some of the old buildings have, but
yeah.
make it stand out more, not to stay plain like that.
How wide is the trim on the windows and doors?
Right now,
Probably 1x6 is 1x4. Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty much what it looks like.
Looks like this. That image probably has 1x4
And
picture frame, but
This is probably a 1x4 on this.
yeah, that might be even, this one looks smaller, but.
Yeah, to me, this particular approach would definitely be an enhancement to the building versus the vinyl.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd recommend going to at least that step. I'd love to see an opportunity to get a GROW grant to take us from that to mimic what the historic buildings on the avenue there have. But if that's going to take time, and I don't know, is your current building leaking or anything?
no,
Is it
I mean,
damaged?
it's not an urgent matter, but I don't know.
But maybe not 6 months down the road.
I mean, I mean, I don't,
That's-
to be
that's-
considered for something like that, I mean, we would definitely want to probably think about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's your option to think about it. We can't tell you to do it, but,
But with Kevin saying it's not like a contributing building, would we even be like considered for it?
The contributing is not relevant to the GROW grant.
right.
It's more of the so in the
Business.
in the historic district, there's buildings that are listed as contributing versus non-contributing. So essentially,
Well, in their district, we're trying to improve it for the benefit of everybody, not only the business owners, but the citizens and so on and so forth, to make it look nice and cohesive. So, that's what we're trying to do, along with save the historic character and so on, obviously. And like I say, this is kind of an interesting opportunity to potentially do something that's not only going to look good to the public, but should enhance the value of your building,
And I think, really Pat's point is basically like, this is an opportunity to
Right.
apply for it, and it's meant for exterior improvements to buildings.
Yep.
And being a contributing building or not doesn't
Okay.
preclude you or have any real weight in whether that's awarded or not, to my knowledge. It's basically any small business owner and making exterior improvements to the property is eligible for it. So it was wait, no, that wasn't Grow Grant, the painting of the jeweler, that was just a application, but.
That is a current applicant for the Grow Grant
Oh, okay.
to paint his building. You are correct.
Okay, so next to Tickle Pickle, where the jeweler went in, that building needed to be painted, and, long story short, he's just using it as a way to improve the exterior some as applying for the Grow Grant, but even just minimal stuff like that. But I think he also he's changing something. Don't you have to do some level of improvement, or not just maintenance, or is that included in the Grow Grant?
I'm a little confused on what you're.
Like, do you have to change, do you have to improve something and substantially modify it, or just any exterior work is included?
Any exterior projects would be considered. We also do interior projects as well. So we do look at inside projects as well when it comes to it as well, if of interest. And just to also tag on there, if you do get approved tonight for your projects or even pieces of it, you can hold off on your project and wait to get approval if you do decide to do that.
Okay,
We have
yeah.
had an applicant do that before where they have got approval before by this board, but then held off until they were in the Grow Grant application thing, and then got their approval for it in order to move forward to their project. So, because one of the big things is that if it's a huge, like in this case, you would have to go before the design review board. You would be able to check that part off of going through the program. So.
Okay, so we would have to come before the board to get like ideas of what they would want for something more historical in the building, or would we come up with something and then present it?
Yeah, you could come up with something, or, you could get an architect to take a look at it. Wouldn't take a lot of effort to do something, saying, here's some different options of how to enhance the outside look of the building.
Okay,
And even technically just the LP Smart Side change could be something that you could use to apply for the grant. And so then maybe if there's something that's a larger dollar amount that is something that you could get approved for, you could consider doing more than just the siding, for
Okay.
instance, and having something that had a different configuration that potentially is more expensive, but because you're getting a grant amount that you
okay,
split the difference, or invest the same amount and add the Grow Grant
Right.
on top of that, basically.
okay,
And then it's just a 50-50 split, essentially. You would just pay for half the project, and the grant would pay for the other half.
okay.
And is there a cap on it?
There is a cap of $20,000.
And that's over the course of a couple of years, right?
So you can get all the 20, but there are some requirements in order to get like the full 20. Your project has to be a certain percentage over it. And I think I'm like right on the spot. We just went over all the grant applications for this year, and I think it was, please don't quote me on this at all, but I believe it was 30. If it's over like $30,000 for the total project, or it might be $40,000 over the project, then you could move all the way up to the cap of it, of the full 20. So
And
I
then,
can get you the correct numbers for
Okay.
that, Nikki, if you are interested. So.
and the next application deadline because are there 2 cycles, or is it just once per year?
We do it once per cycle.
It's just once.
Currently right now. So the next grant opportunity would open up, we usually open them up at the beginning of October. And then the process, as I said, is about to close. So kind of
Okay.
April 1st is our deadline, just to get through any meetings as needed.
Okay.
You got a couple days. Couple days or a year, essentially. But like what Sam was saying before, if you wanted to have a ruling on the siding
Right,
tonight,
yeah.
then you could have
I
that in
would
your back
say
pocket,
that,
and you could
and then,
decide
yeah.
to, I can't wait that long, or I could
Yeah.
do something along those lines.
Because some people can wait for their projects,
whatever.
considering what it is, or they might hold off and, like we've had an applicant before in the past where they've held off on one project because then they see a bigger one that might be coming down the road, where it might be more beneficial to use the grant application for that project for it. So like you could cover this yourself, but then if you come back in October and be like, I want to put a nice trim at the top of my building that matches one of the neighboring businesses or anything as like kind of comparison, or I've only been able to find one photo and I don't even know if it's of your building or the one next door of it from like 1908.
Oh.
So, and it's from a side angle and you have to
Oh,
really zoom
yeah.
in on it. So, and it might not even be your building.
Okay.
So it's the whole thing. But to try to maybe even match any of trim detail as the board has talked about tonight. So,
Okay.
So you have some options that maybe you weren't aware of.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Okay.
Anything else?
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else in the
Sir.
audience?
Anybody wanted to, yeah.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
You were saying the front of the building is wood
Peggy,
siding?
I hate to be a
Could-
bother, but
yeah.
could you speak at the microphone?
Yes, so everybody can hear.
Yes. It's more for the recording,
Of course. Well, I didn't
so,
realize it was being recorded.
yes,
Yeah.
we do record all meetings.
Right. The front of the building is wood currently, is that correct? The siding here
From the half, only this is what.
is wood. This is all aluminum siding already? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that is my only question. I just wanted to bring to your attention, though, that, is this time for me to speak or not?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Well, for starters, I wanted to ask, where is Wes Cunningham's report, or did he generate a report on this?
Didn't generate, we didn't ask for a report on this one. We certainly have the expertise to take care of some of these smaller issues. We don't seek his report for every individual case. We felt that this was a relatively small case, minor, and we took it upon ourselves as staff to create the report.
So the reason that I would like to ask the board to defer to Wes's expertise in this matter and to table this, would it be okay with you to table it for 1 month? Something you're going to start in the next month? I'm talking about the siding material, not the sign or any of the other things.
Right, I mean, our intent was to, yeah, like, hopefully get approved today and start, as soon as it was possible.
The reason I would ask you to defer to Wes is because a couple of issues have come up during this discussion, one being the contributing and non-contributing factor and what that means in terms of applying the design review guidelines. Kevin, I think you said that is non-determinative, that the design review guidelines are applied. Is that correct?
Correct.
So in the design review guidelines, and this is included in your packet, it's page 16, it talks about in section 4.10 that wood clapboard siding should match the existing and should run in the same direction. It says that siding or other exterior treatment should not be used to cover original building materials. So in other words, aluminum siding would not be something that should be used. And then it talks about the siding that is applied, which is talked about wood in 4.10, should be applied horizontally and not in a vertical direction. And that so there is some circumstances where they're talking about aluminum siding. I understand you have aluminum siding right now, so I don't know where that fits in. But I think that Wes could potentially look at this in 15 minutes and give an opinion on, and then be able to guide you exactly as to the application of the design review guidelines in in the situation.
Yeah, I think just to clarify, 4.10 says wood clapboard siding should match existing and should run in the same direction of the original material. The existing wood siding is vertically oriented on
Okay,
that
well,
building.
thank
So
you
we're
for
talking about
The first page.
the storefront basically has a vertical, and it is like T111, right? It's not like a real, so T111 is a plywood product
I
that
understand.
it goes together sort of like siding, but it is a vertical panel product. So I think the proposition of using the LP Smart side is maybe not literally the same material, but it is in the existing direction, vertically oriented.
So that takes that vertical versus horizontal off the table. What about the wood being replaced with wood?
Well, I mean, the LP material is wood. It's all, no, that's the vinyl. And
not
so there
doing
was
vinyl,
an alternate that
I
has,
see, okay.
that I think we moved on to away from the vinyl, that would be an actual wood-based product.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wants to say anything? Okay. And just to confirm, you do want to make a motion tonight, right? I mean, we're not trying to push
Yeah.
anything off. Okay. Is there anybody, any further discussion or comments? Kevin, did we cover the general statement of fact? Do we need
Well,
to
I
recap?
think the biggest thing with the findings of fact is that they're noted in the motion. So that's kind of the idea, is when you make the motion that you support that with some of those findings of fact, is kind of the concept, which you did it after the last one, you kind of incorporated those into those. So that, it's kind of the idea that they're incorporated into the motion if we can.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody that would like to make a motion?
I'll give it a shot. You gotta help me. We're gonna paint the original siding above the storefront. We're going to use an LP Smart Side board and batten siding on the storefront. We're going to add 3 barn lights on the front with 1 planter approximately 6 feet under the window, and install a new sign from the soffit. That it?
Is the sign post and all that, that's a part of that as well, right?
Yeah, I think there was not a signed post, right? It's,
Oh, yeah.
It was hanging from the soffit.
It's going to come from the soffit?
so it's essentially
Okay.
just these S hooks are going into an eyelet or
That's
a jet
correct,
hook or
yeah.
whatever.
It's
That's
just,
going
it's
directly
the
into.
yeah, so it doesn't need a
So,
post or anything
So
like
that's
the
the
barber
soffit,
shop.
it's going as close to it as possible.
And then if you want to, like, we'll paint the side of the building as well. That's siding. You said the front,
Is that
but
the same siding as above the storefront?
correct,
All of the existing vinyl would be
correct.
painted.
Rear or sides, everything will be painted?
Right.
Okay.
Maybe not the rear, because it needs, maybe not the rear, but nobody, I mean, you see that from, you don't see it, nobody sees it.
Nobody goes back there.
No,
So we're
The
going to
left
paint
and
the
the right
sides
side.
of the building
And
also.
the front and the top.
correct.
If I may, for clarification, I know there was a couple different types of board and batten. You are stating with your motion that it's the wood product, correct?
Yes,
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
yes.
the LP Smart side is
Okay.
the wood versus the, I don't know what the
Okay.
brand is on the vinyl, but the vinyl was not being used.
And once again, as far as the findings of fact, it is kind of stating not only what they're asking for, but also the idea that, hey, this is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, not adversely affecting health, safety, welfare, things of that nature. That would be an additional comment that perhaps you could add to that.
You can merge that in there.
The findings of facts.
That's it. All right.
Okay. Is there a second, and I take it that was a motion for approval?
Yes.
Is there a second on the motion to approval?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Nick.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep.